just for them, mutually respectful off the court. It's on the court too of their games and what they have to do in the next several hours to get past their opponent here.
So as they go through the warm-up, we'll go through some of the facts and figures. But just before we do, it's hard to imagine that either of these men ever goes out giving less than 100% on court. But playing against their great rival, do you think that that intensity lifts to the absolute optimum that it can be on this occasion?
Well, I think, yes. I think maybe not every single time they play, but on big occasions like this, that's the environment you would expect would bring them, or bring their best tennis to the fore. You know, Federer has to play well against Nadal to beat him. He's got a losing record overall against him, although I mentioned on this surface he's just slightly ahead, and Nadal knows that he's playing, in terms of statistics, the greatest player that's ever put a racket in his hand. So yes, and I think it has the potential here, obviously, both in pretty good form. I think I've just favoured Federer in terms of the form this last 10 days, but it's always awfully close, and sometimes form goes out the window when you get to the semi-final stage, and then they just go head to head.
This is career match number 1001 for Roger Federer tonight. Rafael Nadal bidding to reach his 4th consecutive Grand Slam semi. In the Open era, only Federer, who's done it a couple of times, Agassi and Laver have done that. So he would be in the rarefied air if he's able to come up with that. In Grand Slam semi-finals, Rafa is 14-3. His last loss was to Juan Martín del Potro in the 2009 US Open, where he only won 6 games. Roger Federer bidding for win number 233 tonight to equal the great Jimmy Connors. There are the facts and figures with which we have become so familiar over the years. 3 wins last year. It was his first year since his first Grand Slam in 2003, though, that he failed to win a major. He won 17 straight matches at the end of 2011. Semi-finalist in Australia, runner-up at the French, quarter-finalist at Wimbledon, semi-finalist in the US Open. 70 singles titles, 16-time Grand Slam champion, his 49th successive Grand Slam, his 13th Australian Open. He's looking to join Roy Emerson. As a 5-time champion, Emerson went on to win 6. Listen to the acclamation for one of the great players of all time. Three minutes.
Rafael Nadal began his Grand Slam career.
Isn't that telling? That round of applause, Fitzy, it just lingered a little bit longer than it normally does.
And in some parts of the stadium, a standing ovation. So that's before they've hit a ball in anger here. And I'm sure Nadal will get the same reception. Such a respectful sporting crowd in the city of Melbourne here in Australia, all over the country, but Melbourne in particular holds that distinction, I think, of being, well, we think one of the greatest sporting cities in the world, and the enthusiasm here tonight will be almost unmatched, I think. They respect greatly both of these athletes.
We saw that Rafa won Monte Carlo, Barcelona and the French Open last year, but one of his most cherished wins was something that you've become accustomed to over the years, Davis Cup, where he led Spain to that wonderful victory. Here's the reception for Rafa. Very much a divided crowd. It seems split down the middle, and whoever you're supporting tonight, I'm sure that there is just that respect for the other players so much that I think a lot of people will go into this match tonight, John Fitzgerald, thinking, I really don't care who wins. I just want to see them play.
Well, it is a little bit like that. You know, I think the game of tennis internationally has been privileged in this era to have not just 2 great people, 2 of nature's gentlemen come out here and compete and lead the sport into the future. We've been privileged to see these 2 go head to head. You know, if one of them had been born in a different era, the other one might have won more major titles, obviously. If Nadal hadn't been around, Federer would go down as maybe one of, if not the greatest clay courter of all time. Now, think about that for a sec. I mean, he's only won 1 French, but he's lost obviously to Nadal more times than he wants to remember.
We just saw the road to the final for Roger Federer, the road to the semi-final, and here's the road to the semi-final for Rafael Nadal. And as we mentioned with Roger, it's been straight sets all the way and one walkover, with Rafael Nadal straight sets through to the round of 16 and then 4 sets in the quarterfinal against Tomic Berdych, where he got that really good warm-up. Berdych was in great form, presented him with a challenge. As usual, Rafa was up to the challenge. So just before they sit down, Fitzy, a last word, maybe a prediction. It's a real flip of the coin job, but who do you expect to go into the final?
It is, and I think the habit is to sit on the fence when you have these two go head to head. I've studied Federer a little closer here. The matches I've actually commentated on with him playing were the ones that impressed me the most. I think his form is slightly better. But, you know, it just doesn't mean anything really when they go head to head. If I had to choose, I'll go Federer tonight. I think he's moving as well as he's moved in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know if Nadal is quite at his peak. You know, he had that suspicion of a knee injury earlier in the week, and